It's a bit of a departure for me in my videos where I usually cover Mandela effects as they come, and it's just about some stuff that's been going on online, both from like the Christian perspective, which is where I'm coming from. I usually don't identify as a Christian on my videos so much. It's not where I choose to like do that kind of thing. I prefer in person, but but from both the secular and the Christian, I feel like the Mandela effect is becoming it's getting attacked. I want to say, the Christians think we're going down a demonic rabbit hole, and secular people and some Christians think that this is a psyop and that this is all just something that's being done online. We have fallible memories and they're being played with, toyed with, and I disagree. I think that this is something that's real. And I've had things, my memory of certain things is different than what it is now. Much of the focus is on the logos that we see in American culture. And so a lot of people have labeled this an American phenomenon, and then that's why they think it's a psyop, especially because they're not seeing other things change. But I have felt a number of things change. And some of them are the same logos that other people see. And I agree with many of them that they have changed. But I think it's important to start with something that's changed that's not just in the U.S., but this is France, Rodin's The Thinker. And many people remember the hand being to the forehead, not to the mouth as it is now. And when you look back through documents and books in the library, you see that they write about it, the fist to the mouth now. And they talk about food. There was someone who got angry. He thought it was mocking people who were starving, and because it was the fist to the mouth kind of thing somehow. But you'll see evidence for it the other way, and there's only a few examples of it, but they're very striking. And I just think that people need to take this seriously, because if things are changing supernaturally, you have to be aware that they're changing. If you're talking about something and it's changed, you have to you can't just ignore it. I mean, so far it's just been these things that are like cultural icons. I don't know, something about icons, symbols, something about them changing, and words too. So when people dismiss this, they think they have it all figured out, and we're at the very beginning of looking into this. If it's coming from the enemy, the dark side, we'll look into it enough to figure it out. If you think you have it figured out, move on, okay? And if it's a psyop, we'll get to the bottom of that too. There's a lot of loose ends that need to be tied up with this. If it's a government operation, we're going to get into that. We're going to look at how it's being done. And if it's supernatural, we're going to figure that out. But it might also still be technological. There may be technologies out there, not just CERN or even CERN, that may have to do with like mental, spiritual aspects of reality, or physical aspects of reality we don't know about yet, that maybe only the elite scientists know. It may not be magical or supernatural, although it really seems like it. But it may be technological. We don't know the full story yet. I think that's important. And to demean people who are looking into the Mandela effect, to dismiss us, sometimes we're investigating things and chasing the trail where it leads. But that happens in all aspects of research. And to be excited about it, to be excited what you're into, what you're researching, that's in everything. Some researchers like Miles Mathis, who's coming from the secular point of view, will say that this is an intel operation and that you can't trust anything online, even though he does genealogical research online. So how can he trust anything that he comes across? He says that they could be replacing books and doing all sorts of things like this. When you see a book that's changed, well, they're replacing books. It's one thing to go into the libraries and have the libraries have books, but your attic, that seems much more implausible than the Mandela Effect, which he is trying to discredit. So, and on the other end of it, we have these Christians who just, they feel they're beyond it. They feel it's a trap, even though what they do is looking into many different like symbols and dark areas. We have to have a balance no matter what we're researching. We need to have a balance. When we look at this stuff, we realize it's dark and it may be dangerous. So you take that into account. If you're a Christian, you pray and you ask God to protect you. And our whole world is filled with this stuff right now. The technology we're using, we don't know the full scope of what's going on. So we have to be careful. And this includes this kind of research. And a lot of people like to dismiss it. That's why I keep saying that word, but it's just, that's what's going on right now. And because a lot of normal, regular people are looking into this, it kind of ruffles some feathers on people who think they're a little special, They like to say that we're the ones who are like trying to feel special with it. Oh, I have a special memory. But no, we're feeling like a little bit like disconcerted. And we're like, hey, look at this. I have this memory. You have this memory. Look at how it's changing. And things that are important to us are changing. First, it's a few logos, whatever. But it's like a sculpture that I definitely remember, Rodin's The Thinker. I hadn't looked at it in a long time. I just had, there's a lot of things you're working and you're doing things. And that was one of them. And that really struck me. There's other things too. One of the things I looked at was Charles Schulz. And he used to have a T following the L, between the L and the Z. And someone pointed this out. I went and got my old books, which I still had, luckily. And, here they are, different than I remembered. I remember them with the T in there. So in this case, I went online found plenty of residue for the spelling with the way I remembered it. And I also found an article by or about Carl Schulz, which is Charles Schulz's father, about some kids stealing from a nearby gas station. And it's at the same address that Charles Schulz's father was at. And it's the exact same place, but no one in any of the biographies reports his name being spelled like this. And this is the way people remember his name being spelled. Now, this is online. It's at newspapers. So maybe, why are they showing us what we remember as opposed to, you know what I mean? We remember that. Has it been implanted? I mean, wow. To me, this is worth investigating. How they're doing this one way or the other. And these are just a couple of examples, Rodin and Schulz. Just because they're large, popular, people may have looked at these a lot. It's not confabulation. Something is different. This isn't the kind of video that will convince the naysayers of anything. It's just, I want to put in for looking more into this, and that there's something to be gained from it. Whether we learn one thing or another about it, there is something going on. Whether it's a psyop, a spiritual, or a scientific, like technological change going on, we're going to find out. We're going to know what it is. And we should just be conscious and aware and mindful. We don't have to go hide our heads in the sand. All right.